Today I want to get into Jungkook seemingly upset as RM talks about a last day. I wanted to get into RM giving a speech and then talk of his enlistment day. And lastly, we have fans having enough of Weverse and HYBE and saying bye. Before we get into it, if you enjoy cooking and making food like our boys do, I do have a message for you. Cooking is something I am very passionate about. I cook a lot, I love eating food, and I've talked about food a lot on this channel. One of the ways to make sure you are cooking and creating really good food is to make sure you have really good knives. I want to talk about the brand Kamikoto and their knives. My dad is a professional chef of 20 years. I've never spoken about that here, and I've asked him what makes really good knives. There's a few key things: the weight, how it feels in your hand, craftsmanship, and not needing to sharpen them so often because they simply just don't go dull that easily. All of which Kamikoto has. I personally love them and they slice through food so easily. My biggest pet peeve is dull knives, especially when cutting things that I want to be thin. And then if it's dull, you end up just pushing the food down rather than actually cutting it. And a sharp knife also makes sure the food slices are super thin and pretty. They have many options of knives to choose from. You have this knife, which you can use for anything, and most of us are probably not going to need another knife. But if you do need or want a full set, they also have this one. Each box comes with a certificate of authenticity and the right way to take care and use the knives. Their knives are used by Michelin star chefs all around the world, made with high quality Japanese steel, sleek design, and you get a nice wooden box. So it looks cute and you can store them and take care of them properly. And they come with a lifetime guarantee. So as I mentioned, a really good knife won't just break or not work on you. And in the off chance that it does happen, Kamikoto has you covered for that. So there's no worry. Kamikoto has a 60-day return policy, so if it doesn't work out for you, you can return it. But I think you will find these are great knives. With anything you buy, make sure to do your own research and see if it's a right fit for you. I really do enjoy using them, so I will link them down below. Please use the code Dumplings to get $50 off, and that is on top of the already huge, massive Father's Day sale that is happening. So please check them out and thank them for sponsoring this portion of the video. We need to talk about Weverse and a specific article that seemed to have gotten a lot of armies riled up. If you're someone who is a part of the streaming culture of the K-pop fandoms, then you are probably aware of the person that the fandom has tried to beat over and over again on the top Billboard charts. A country artist named Morgan Wallen took the #1 spot for a really long time, and many artists, including well-established American artists, have struggled to take that #1 spot. I was confused when I heard this. As far as I was aware, Morgan Wallen was still kind of underground and very niche, specifically a country niche. I like country music, I like all music, so I was aware, but I wasn't aware that he had met this high level of fame where he was topping global BTS members and then artists like Miley Cyrus. But apparently that happened. Morgan Wallen was canceled a little while ago due to some racist things he had apparently said, and then I think he found success again from possibly other racist people who didn't care about what he had said about other cultures. So I think with that idea, the K-pop fandoms were even more upset that such a person was at #1. Weverse wrote an article to praise Morgan's success and talk about how great a chart topper Morgan's music was, and then said that two artists that they're supposed to represent, Auguste and Jimin, could barely break that #1 spot compared to Morgan. Personally, I would be upset too if I knew that my own company or label was downplaying the success that I had. So I get the anger for that. It's also interesting because it seemed Weverse and the many avenues of HYBE are trying to branch out further than just K-pop by writing an article that appeals to possibly Morgan's listeners and not the general K-pop or BTS audience. The site can then attract newer readers looking up Morgan, and eventually Weverse can become this site where it becomes the next go-to social media place. And ultimately that is going to help BTS's popularity, as when they decide to release something, they can put it on Weverse and they'll have a huge global audience there, as opposed to maybe needing to promote their music on YouTube or Twitter like how they do now. And then of course, if people see that Weverse has this huge audience built in, investors are going to want to pour way more money into HYBE, and this will ultimately give BTS some money as well. However, the article then comes across a bit out of touch with at least their core BTS audience. I think even HYBE can look at the backlash and see that the article did not hit the audience they were hoping it would, given the backlash it got. Auguste broke records with his sales, and then Jimin also got a #1 on Billboard. So eventually the two did take #1 spots, at least for a little bit. Billboard also doesn't count record sales in Korea and many other places internationally. It makes a lot of sense that a country artist would receive a lot of sales in the US as their music directly markets towards the US. So even if Morgan did receive a long standing at number 1, it is not an indication of success, just some success in the US. That could be what the Weverse article was driving at, but it was clear that that was not made clear as the armies got very upset about that. And Jimin had a major success in the US with Like Crazy, as well as internationally too. There were also some people saying that Auguste's pre-order sales were not counted, but I could not find any evidence of that. The only thing that I saw was that Ticketmaster is not counting the pre-sale tickets, which has nothing to do with the Billboard charts. I am more inclined to believe that there is a possibility that the sales were lower in the US for maybe Jimin and Auguste, but, big but, those sales, as I said, do not count international sales, and Billboard had announced that they will not be counting several things anymore, such as bundling albums with merch and tickets, which were all things many artists in the past were allowed to do, and those things would help their chart rankings. Given the semi-racism that the boys faced on their journey with the US music charts, the fact that they even reached number 1 on those charts at all shows that they are still more successful than any US artist, and if you count the global sales of Jimin and Auguste, I can guarantee you they're higher than most US artists. So many Weverse readers and BTS fans were quick to just be like, buy HYBE or buy Weverse, but I really don't think overall they would purposely try to hurt BTS, and understand there's a million moving parts in a company. This is probably one or maybe a handful of staff who would approve an article or any article, and it does not mean that the entirety of the company has the same opinion. People like to group a company as one person and one person's actions, and it's just not how it works. When there's thousands of people coming together, there's going to be opinions that people don't agree with. In the last day or so, BTS members dropped BangBangCon. If you remember from the last time they did this, it was just a compilation of their concerts and we got to see them perform all together. It was really beautiful, and this time, HYBE did the concert to celebrate BTS's 10-year anniversary. So for those of you who think BTS is still not getting back together, here's the proof that they are. HYBE would not be celebrating a 10-year thing if BTS was done. Now, there was a moment in the concert that had everyone talking and was a bit emotional. This was the concert from a little while ago, and during a lot of concerts, you'll have the artist stop midway and talk, give their feelings, tell a story, whatever it is, and BTS is no different. They stop mid-concert to talk about moments in which they feel sad, and RM was someone who wanted to share how he often feels that way. JungKook said that RM needs to be better at communicating when he is sad to the group so that the other group members can attempt to console RM. RM talks about how he doesn't want to bother everyone, and that can be a reason to not seek help. This is the way I think that most people talk about this. Oh, I want to be strong, so I don't want to bother someone. For me, I know a lot of other people can relate, but maybe can't put it into words. It's not that I don't want to bother people, because I know I shouldn't hold it all in. I just don't want others to think I'm crazy. I have a lot of anxiety about random stuff, and if I were to tell one of my friends, I will eventually lose them because they think I'm insane, or I end up putting pressure on them and they think they have to walk on eggshells around me to avoid triggering anything. And let's be honest, no one wants to be around someone like that. So they see me less and less because they feel I bring down the mood, and they have to be very careful around me or feel they do. So I'm the sad one that they rarely invite out for parties or fun things. That only ends up with me having more resentment towards them, and I lose them. It has happened in the past, so I don't say anything anymore and just hold it in, because it's better to be sad and hate myself and secretly hate my friends for not being there for me than to completely lose my social calendar and have everyone else hate me. So that is another side of that I think no one talks about, and if you're wondering why people won't share things with you, this could be a reason. Going back to the concert, RM said that it was just one of those days where he felt sad. Taeyang asked RM to imagine what it would be like if this was the last day of their entire life. RM then said that he actually would feel pretty good about that and immediately cheered up. And of course, Arm's last day on Earth would be totally okay because he has already done everything he wants to do and has done more than most people have, so he probably has no regrets. Jungkook, however, was very sad to see Arm like that, but he was eventually okay. Arm has done a lot in the last few days, and there was even a moment that recently ARMYs were so happy to hear about. Arm attended a ceremony where he was the ambassador of the military. He stood on the podium and talked about accepting the award. The entire speech was then translated in English on Twitter, and basically it was believed he also mentioned that in the 10 years he has been with BTS, and BTS has shared so many different messages to everyone, and the group had talked about how they can return the love to Korea and their culture. Arm loves Korean culture and often posts about his museum visits and things like that. Being the ambassador of defense and protecting the culture of Korea is absolutely beautiful. In case you don't know, Arm's exact position is going to be working more alongside the excavation team. So for the fallen soldiers that had fought during the Korean War, their remains will be excavated and returned to the families. I think that's beautiful and very necessary, as obviously during the heat of the war, I'm sure many families had to carry on a ceremony without a body there. Arm's main job is to raise awareness for this issue and use his skills and talent to help this cause, and of course be a big part of a big historic duty. I'm mostly paraphrasing here. There was definitely a lot more, but this was the bigger takeaway I felt was important to mention. Obviously, this is a very deep message and very emotional. People online were saying that since Arm will be doing this now, he must be exempt from the military service, as this would be his duty to the service. However, it's still believed he will go. It's still different departments, and this more falls in line with the work he is doing as a celebrity, and maybe he's getting paid for it too. Many ambassadors of a country receive some sort of salary. Now, it is still believed that Arm will be going soon. He is done with his first solo thing, and it's believed he's working on another, but we don't know for sure. And then others were saying that it's about time he does go, given that he is the leader. But I don't think we have to worry about Arm going right now. I think he will go when he is able to, and if that is delayed another year, then that is okay. Yes, that means he won't return by 2025 or whatever it was, but that means he gets to really put his heart into doing a lot of extra work that he is passionate about, and that's worth it to delay BTS a little bit, I think. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.